Hello everyone, welcome back to the tutorials again. So you can see over here in previous session we have studied about the standard compaction test and the procedure for standard compaction test. So from the standard compaction test the output which we are going to get is compaction curve. So from this compaction curve we can find out optimum moisture content and maximum dry density by choosing this peak point and drawing a horizontal line as well as vertical line. Wherever this horizontal line touches the y-axis is called as maximum dry density, and wherever this vertical line touches the x-axis is called as optimum moisture content. So it is observed that as the water content increases initially, the dry density increases. So you can see water content will go on increasing in this direction. So dry density will go on increasing in this direction. So as the water content increases, let us consider this as a first point. So as the water content increases, dry density increases initially. Later on, uh, when the and reaches its maximum value, so you can see it go on increasing and reaches its maximum value. And to water content percentage, certain water content is called as optimum moisture content. Whenever this dry density reaches the maximum value at that point, whatever the water content is there, that particular water content is called as optimum moisture content. And afterwards, as increased water content decreasing dry density takes place gradually. So you can see over here, as after this particular point, as the water content increases, the dry density gradually go on decreasing. Okay, so this is the characteristics of this particular compaction curve. Next, reason behind fall of dry density. So why the dry density falls after this particular point? So initially at water content lower than optimum, the there is a stiff soil is stiff and has lot of voids. As stiff soil is having lot of voids, the density is low. As the water content increases, the soil particles get lubricated and slips over each other. So when we increase the water content further, this soil particles will get lubricated and slip on each other, and they will move to densely packed position, and thus dry density increases. However, at water content more than optimum moisture content, addition of water reduces the dry density as it occupies the space that might have been occupied by soil particles. So the space which was about to occupy by soil particles will be occupied by the water, and hence density decreases. So this is the reason behind fall. So for given water content, there is some concept called zero air wide line. So for given water content, I am talking about theoretical maximum dry density. So you can see we are talking about this dry density, but at this point, if I consider this as a maximum dry density, there is some water which is already added to it. So it is not, practically it is not a dry density. Theoretically, it is a maximum dry density. So which can be obtained by corresponding condition when theoretical maximum dry density is equal to saturated dry density. Actually, whenever we add the water, then and then only we can achieve the dry density condition in this case, in this particular uh, practical. So that is why theoretical maximum dry density is equal to saturated dry density. Next, you can see we know this particular equation which is applicable for dry density. So dry density is equal to, when I take this particular condition which says that saturated dry density will be equal to theoretical maximum dry density. So saturated dry density is nothing but S is equal to 1, that is completely saturated. So I can write that E is equal to W into G. So G plus mu W divided by 1 plus small w into G. So this is the equation for dry density. So this is the another equation in which we can express the dry density. The zero air wide line and 100% saturation line are identical. So they both are same. Zero air wide line means what? All the voids are filled by water. So there is no air in the voids. Okay. 100% saturation means what? Whatever the space which is remaining between the particles, that is voids, are filled by water. So they both are same. So zero air wide line will be always away from this particular curve. So you can see this is a zero air wide liner, 100% saturated line. So we'll move further where this particular test is applicable. So this particular test is applicable everywhere in the field. For example, the water content at which soil gets compacted in the field is controlled by value of optimum moisture content. So value of optimum moisture content is going to tell us how much amount of water we have to add in the field to control the compaction condition so that we can reach the maximum dry density. The standard Proctor test described above is adequate to represent the compaction of fills behind the retaining wall. So whatever the retaining wall is there, so behind that retaining wall we need to fill the whatever the fills are there. So that fills should have certain strength. So that strength can be achieved by controlling the compaction, and controlling the compaction can be possible only when we know the optimum moisture content and maximum dry density. However, in some situations where heavy compaction is required, for example in modern highways wherever heavy compaction is required, so standard Proctor test does not represent the equivalent compaction results in the laboratory. Whenever there is a heavy compaction required, at that point this standard compaction test results are little bit worried as compared to the field results, means variation is there in the results. For such a condition, another test is there, that is modified compaction test, which we are going to use. So what is that modified compaction test? Every procedure will remain same, everything is same. So as it is known as modified ASHO test also. It is also known as modified ASHO test, that is American Association of State Highway Officials. So modified Proctor test also known as modified ASHO test. So in modified Proctor test, the mold used are same as standard Proctor test. So mold used is same. So diameter of a mold, height of a mold is same. But hammer used to compact the soil is having mass of 4.9 kg. So there the hammer mass was 2.6 kg. It is almost doubled here. And free fall of that hammer is the hammer free fall of this particular hammer is 450 mm. There in standard Proctor test the free fall is 310 mm. The soil compacted in 5 layers. Each layer is given 25 number of blows for 100 ml mold and 56 number of blows for 2 to 50 ml mold. So when this 1000 ml mold is used, 1000 ml mold is used for fine grained soil, and 2 to 50 ml mold is used for coarse grained soil. So for there in case of standard Proctor test we went for 3 layers, but here we need to fill the soil in 5 number of layers in the mold. So this is the only difference in case of standard and modified Proctor test. So you can just go through it. Uh, in many of the exams or examination questions, they have asked us to differentiate the standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test. So you can go through it. Okay. So now what is the difference between curve of standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test? So you can see the dry densities are obtained from different water content and compaction curves are drawn. The curve is higher than and left of the obtained from standard. So as the hammer is heavier, the curve for the same soil sample, the curve which we obtain from modified Proctor test is little bit on left side, and which is at higher position compared to standard Proctor test. Next, factors affecting compaction. So there are various factors which affect the compaction, and before compacting actually in the field we must understand about this factors which are affecting the compaction. So the first factor which is affecting the compaction is water content. So how the effect of water content is there on the compaction, you can see here. As the water content increases, the dry density increases and reaches to maximum dry density, and afterwards increase in water content will cause the decrease in dry density. This we have seen in curve also, and previously also we have seen. The reason behind this is that at lower water content than optimum moisture content, soil is stiff. So reason behind the fall of curve which we have studied previously. That means that said that water content below the optimum moisture content, in that case the soil will be stiff, and stiffer soil leads to more voids, and more voids leads to lower dry density. So as water content increases and reaches beyond the optimum moisture content, the whatever the space which was to be occupied by the soil particles will be occupied by water content or water particles. For that purpose, this particular uh, curve will fall. That means dry density will decrease. Okay, so that's what they have given over here. Next, second point which affects the compaction is amount of compaction. So in compaction, in comparison between standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test, what we have seen, you can see the curves over here. Modified Proctor test and standard Proctor tests are carried out on a same type of soil sample. In that, what we have found that the modified compaction curve is little bit higher and towards the left side as compared to this particular standard Proctor test curve. So it is observed compaction, as the compaction effort increases, the density increases and optimum moisture content decreases. So this is the relation which we have seen by comparing the compaction between standard Proctor test and modified Proctor, in comparison between standard and modified Proctor test. So what is that result which we have seen? As the compaction effort increases, because weight of a hammer we have increased over here, as the effort of compaction increases, the dry density increases and optimum moisture content also decreases. The increase in amount of compaction effort won't increase the dry density always. After reaching certain maximum dry density, it stays at a constant level. So that's what they have said. You can see over here, as the effort of compaction increases in all the, it doesn't mean that in all the cases dry density will increase. Dry density will increase in the specific cases. Okay, from the graph it is observed that as compaction effort increases, the curve starts shifting towards the left side. So the amount of compaction also affects the compaction. So third one, type of a soil. If it is well graded soil, it need more compaction effort. If it is a low plasticity silt, it need little bit less compaction effort. Similarly, if it is a plastic clay, it needs little bit less compaction effort, and if it is a highly plastic clay, it needs more compaction effort. But another one thing which we can observe here is uh, the curve shifts towards the left side. As it is a well graded sand, curve will be at most left side, and as it is a plastic silt, low plastic silt, little bit left, and similarly for other two. Okay, so we'll see the justification. Coarse grained soils are compacted for higher dry density than fine grained soils. Okay, so this is the one observation which we have made. Next, when we add little percentage of fines to coarse grained material, the dry density still increases as fines will occupy the space between coarse grained soil. As well graded sand attains the much higher dry density compared to poor graded soil. So you can see over here, well graded soil will always achieve the maximum dry density compared to other grades of soil. So always it is recommended to use the well graded soil in case of any engineering works. Next, cohesive soils will have higher void ratio. They will get lower dry density after compaction. So as the void ratio will be high, the lower will be the dry density after compaction. Heavier clay, very high plasticity, having lower dry density and very high optimum moisture content. So you can see here, very high plastic clays are having lower dry density but very high water content. So at much higher water content, we are going to achieve the maximum dry density in case of highly plastic clay. So method of compaction also the another factor which is going to affect the compaction. So first point, you can see for a same compaction effect, the dry density will depending upon method of compaction, whether if the compaction effects are same, whether the method is impacting or needing or any other method. So different methods of compaction will lead to different compaction curves. That's why this method of compaction is going to play very important role in case of compaction. Again, admixture. This is also important. The compaction characteristics of the soil are improved by adding other minerals known as admixtures. The most commonly used admixtures are lime, cement, bitumen. The dry density depending upon the type of admixture used. So if I use the admixture such as lime, cement or bitumen, the compaction effort will increase. The amount of compaction will increase. So the percentage increase in amount of compaction will be depending upon the admixture which we have used. So these are the factors which are going to affect the compaction. So first factor is water content, second one is amount of compaction, third one is type of soil, fourth one is method of compaction, fifth one is admixture. Next one, effect of compaction on properties of the soil. So what are the effects of compaction on the properties of the soil which we are going to study? Okay, so compaction is going to affect the properties of the soil as the density of soil increases during the compaction. So engineering properties are improved by compaction. The desirable properties are achieved by selecting the type of soil and mode of compaction effort. So now if I take the compaction curve, on x-axis there will be water content and on y-axis there will be dry density. So whatever, if I divide this particular compaction curve in two parts, left part is called as dry of optimum, right part is called as wet of optimum. So the difference between dry of optimum and wet of optimum which we are going to see over here. So whatever the part which I am writing on the left side is justifying the dry of optimum. Whatever the part which I am writing on right side is going to justify the wet of optimum. Okay. So in dry of optimum, soil compacted at a water content less than water content of optimum moisture content generally have flocculated structure regardless of method of compaction. So whatever the water content is there which is below the optimum moisture content, in this all the cases soil will have the flocculated structure. Soil compacted at the water content more than optimum moisture content usually have the dispersed structure. So after crossing the optimum moisture content there is a dispersed structure, before that there is a flocculated structure. So dry of optimum will be having less shear strength and wet of optimum will be having large shear strength. So this is justified over here. At point A on the dry side of optimum, the water content is so low that the attraction forces are more predominant than repulsive forces. This results in flocculated structure. Next, permeability. So in case of dry of optimum, the permeability decreases with increase in water content. But in wet of optimum, the improved orientation of particles and corresponding reduction in size of voids which causes decrease in permeability. So in dry of optimum, permeability also decreases. Even in wet of optimum, permeability will decreases. But in case of dry of optimum, the permeability is high compared to wet of optimum. Next, if compaction effort is increased, the permeability of soil decreases due to increase in dye density and better orientation of particle in case of wet of optimum. Now swelling, soil compacted dry of optimum has high water deficiency and more random orientation of particle. So swelling will be little bit less in case of dry of optimum. It is more, as it is having more water content than sample compacted at the wet of optimum, there will be more swelling which is going to take place in case of wet of optimum. So pore water pressure. So pore water pressure will be less in case of dry of optimum, and pore water pressure will be more in case of wet of optimum. Next, shrinkage. Shrinkage will be less in case of dry of optimum, and shrinkage will be more in case of wet of optimum, as in case of wet of optimum water content is more. Next, compressibility. Flocculated structure offers great resistance for compression, and dispersed structure offers low resistance to compression. That's why compression will be more in case of wet of optimum. So stress strain relations. Uh, this is a stress strain relation in case of dry up optimum and wet up optimum. So as stress increases, axial strain also increases. Same way here they have given. So this you can go through. Have steeper stress strain curve. Modulus of elasticity for soil compaction and dry is high. Brittle failure. So plastic type of failure is there, that is ductile failure. Low modulus of elasticity. Having in case of wet of optimum. So this is the effect of compaction on properties of the soil. So we will move further in the next session, and we will move to the next part, that is methods of compaction in the field. So we are going to study this in the next session, and we are going to solve few of the problems on standard Proctor test and modified Proctor test. Thank you.